That should keep you guys quiet for a while. Iggy! Come here, Iggy. Got something for ya. Check. Did that. Can't check that off yet.
Yeah?
Is this MacLeod Research and Technology?
This is Chaz, Milo. Service forwarded your call to my cell. What do you want?
Are you all right?
I'm at the gym. On the treadmill. It's called multitasking.
Well, about the letter you sent to Dr. Boulay, you know, where you told him the skull was a fake, I was just wondering...
I never told him that.
Never told him what?
I told him that skull was authentic.
No, you said in the letter the skull was carved using modern instruments.
I said all the tests I ran proved the skull had been hand-carved and hand-polished. Probably took decades to make.
But the letter Dr. Boulay got said just the opposite.
Then the letter he got must not have been the letter that I wrote.
Are you saying the crystal skull is real?
Hey, I'm not saying it's magic or anything. I'm just saying it wasn't made using 19th century, 20th century, or 21st century technology.
Did you carbon date it to see how old it was?
The thing was pure quartz. No carbon in quartz. No carbon dating. Hey, look, I'm gonna hang up now. If I try to talk anymore, I'm gonna pass out.
Just one more question. Did you send that letter saying the skull was authentic to anyone else?
No, just Dr. Boulay. I heard he died recently. Good thing I billed him up front.
Yeah, well, thanks for your help.
No problem.
Yes, hello? Who is this?
Hello, Professor. This is Nancy Drew again.
Nancy Drew. Are you sure you're not the cheese girl?
Positive. Could I ask you something?
Of course. Let her rip.
Do you know of any relationship between the Whisperer and a crew in New Orleans called the Jolly Rogers?
A crew named after the skull and crossbones flag flown by European and American pirates? How so very colorful! Yo-ho-ho! Why do you ask?
The man who called you about the Whisperer, Bruno Boulay, he was a member of the Jolly Rogers. I just thought maybe one had something to do with the other.
Had the Whisperer fallen into the hands of pirates, I promise you my research would have turned up that fact. But it didn't. Therefore, no relationship. Coincidence strikes again.
I'd better go. Thank you.
Good luck to you, dear.
Iggy, how about a nice, juicy loquat? Iggy! Oh, Iggy!
Hey, Nancy. How's it going?
Pretty good.
Meaning...
I've been having Bess do some sleuthing for me.
You're kidding. I thought you said Bess was a disaster when it came to detective stuff.
I never said that. I mean, I may have said she wasn't particularly adept at snooping.
Ah, but this is not snooping. It's sleuthing.
Exactly.
So how's she doing?
You know Bess, when she puts her mind to something, there's no stopping her. She's doing awesome.
Awesome?
Okay, maybe not awesome, but she's certainly, you know...
Not totally screwing up?
Right.
That's what I figured.
I think Henry still misses his parents. A lot.
What makes you say that?
I saw him out in the cemetery by what I think is their crypt. He seemed pretty upset.
I'm not surprised. I get the feeling that what Henry looks like on the outside is just the opposite of what he looks like on the inside.
Are you familiar with the legend of the so-called crystal skulls?
Is that where aliens supposedly scattered a bunch of perfectly formed crystal skulls all around the world like thousands of years ago? And all the skulls have different magical powers?
Something like that, yeah. Apparently Henry's uncle was the proud owner of the Whisperer, the skull that was supposed to make whoever owned it live forever.
Only now he's dead and another superstition bites the dust.
Maybe, maybe not. See, this book I found in Bruno's library said no one who has owned the Whisperer has ever died of natural causes.
So how did they die?
They were all murdered.
Come on, you don't believe that crystal skull stuff is true, do you?
Absolutely not. But right now, what I think doesn't matter. The people who knew Bruno had the skull, if one of them believed in the Whisperer's power, they may have figured the only way they'd ever be rid of Bruno was to cause his death.
But didn't he die of a stroke or something?
Heart attack.
Well, there you go. Natural causes.
Heart attacks can be induced.
You've been watching too many of those forensic detective shows.
That may be, but what's really interesting is the skull is missing.
That is interesting.
And I'll bet you anything that's what my bony friend in the red ascot was looking for.
Does Henry know where the skull is?
He doesn't know anything about it. At least that's what he says. But if that skull is still around here, I intend to find it.
I kind of figured that.
Henry confessed that he sold off some of Bruno's things because he needed money to keep his girlfriend Summer happy.
She's high maintenance, huh?
Extremely. You're so lucky.
Hey, don't I know it. Think he sold off the Crystal Skull?
I don't think so, no. He acts like he's never heard of the Crystal Skull.
And so the search goes on.
Bruno Bolet's doctor, Gilbert Buford, was apparently Bruno's best friend as well.
Think Bruno told him about the skull?
Yes, in fact, Dr. Buford told Bess that Bruno showed it to him once. But apparently he told Bruno the skull was bogus, and Bruno got a little ticked off. Never showed it to him again.
Well, when it comes to murdering someone and making it look like a heart attack, a doctor's got to be right up there when it comes to suspects.
Don't worry, I've been thinking the same thing.
So what else is going on?
In order to find that crystal skull, it looks like I'm going to have to find all of Bruno's glass eyes.
Bruno wore a glass eye?
He wore a lot of glass eyes. Not all at once, of course, but from this box I found in his study, it looks like he had at least 25.
What makes you think finding them will lead you to the skull?
Something Bruno said to Professor Hotchkiss, whom I've met before, by the way, in Wisconsin. Did I ever tell you about her?
Why does that name bring Boots to mind? Boots and cheese.
Anyway, it turns out she's an expert on the crystal skulls. So Bruno called her once, and when she asked him if he knew where the skull called the Whisperer was, he said, "The eyes have it."
He meant eyes with an E instead of an A.
Right.
Did he lose all these eyes or hide them on purpose?
I'm pretty sure he hid them on purpose.
And I thought Henry was weird.
While I was picking mushrooms for Renee, I almost lost my hand to one of Bruno's pets.
You have a big dog or something?
A big alligator named Bernie.
How can you make a pet out of an alligator?
Apparently by exploiting their fondness for marshmallows.
Well, stay away from him. I like your hands just the way they are.
I can't quite figure out whether Renee neglected to tell me about him by accident or on purpose.
Hey, if you're not sure, you'd better stay away from her, too.
Get this, Bruno had a pet iguana that he liked to dress up in little costumes.
Say what?
I kid you not. I found little outfits for Iggy, that's the iguana's name, Iggy, in Bruno's study. He could dress him up like a mailman, an optometrist, or a pirate.
Now I've heard everything.
No, you haven't. Iggy also hides things in the vents, and depending on what outfit he's wearing, he'll go into the vent and bring out different stuff.
You have got to be joking.
Like, I dressed him up as an optometrist, and he brought me out a glass eye.
Poor Henry. If weirdness is genetic, he doesn't stand a chance.
I'm pretty sure a letter caused Bruno Bolet to have that heart attack.
A letter?
Apparently, Bruno and Renee had recently taken the crystal skull to a lab to see if it was authentic. The lab guy mailed Bruno a letter summarizing his test results, which showed the skull was a fake, and when Bruno read it, I think the shock was just too much for him.
So much for his being murdered.
Actually, that's not quite true. When I called the lab guy, he said that in his letter he told Bruno the skull was authentic.
You mean someone faked the letter that said the skull was a fake?
Yep, which means Bruno more or less did die at someone else's hand.
Good grief. Have you told anyone?
No, and I don't think I'm going to. For one thing, I don't want to tip my hand. For another thing, I don't want anyone thinking that skull is the real deal after all.
Which apparently it is.
The only thing those lab tests proved is that the skull is at least 300 years old. Not that it has magical powers or anything.
But still, finding it would be pretty cool.
That's it for now.
Great hearing from you. Keep it up.
I will. Talk to you soon.
You'd better. Bye.
Hello?
Hi, Bess. Listen, you busy?
Why?
I need you to do something for me.
What?
I need you to infiltrate the meeting of the Jolly Rogers crew that's about to be held at Rampart and Dumaine, which has got to be right near Zeke's. You're going to have to look around for it. Now, to get into the meeting, you'll need to put on that skeleton man costume you saw in the back room. And once you're in the meeting, you'll need to listen for the name that opens the meeting so you can tell me what it is, okay?
No.
Beth, I know you don't like to do stuff like this, but this is really, really, really important, and it'll be the last thing I ask you to do. I promise.
Absolutely, unequivocally, irrefutably, incontrovertibly, No.
Which of course actually means yes, because if I don't do this, I'll be stuck here by myself until you give up. And since we both know you will never give up, I don't suppose it would do any good to point out that the curio shop is closed.
You'll find a way in. Oh, and if anyone at the meeting asks, the password is Scuttle's Bones.
Okay, I'll give it a shot.
That's the spirit.